Jay Thorpe, Flexwork Fitness. We got another video for you guys. So I've been asked a couple times by a few different clients about a few tips for fasting. So number one, I love fasting personally. I haven't really done it much in I'd say probably like the past year or so, but when I did do it, one crazy thing I did was I felt great. Like I didn't have like really any intention behind it. I wasn't really doing it for weight loss. Wasn't really doing it for like the purported health benefits, but I just wanted to try it. And yeah, oddly enough, you feel amazing on a fast. So here's a few of the reasons why people want to go on a fast. Number one's the health benefits. So a lot of the health benefits though that you get from fasting are the same as that you would get if you just went on like a general caloric restriction diet. So like one of the things was decreasing like inflammatory markers. If you're on a calorie restriction, you're gonna do the same thing. A lot of the effects on insulin sensitivity is same thing you're gonna get in a caloric restriction with like protein levels equated, and it does help with weight loss. For some people, it's hard for them to eat little amounts of food each day instead of just like eating how they normally would and then taking like a day or two off, which I'm kind of the same way. I do intermittent fasting, which is actually a shorter form of a fast, which is usually between 16 to 20 hours, say, and then you'll have maybe 8 to 4 hours in which you're actually eating in your eating window. And for me, it's hard for me to overeat that way, and I'm not a breakfast person, so it's a little bit easier for me to employ that method. So there's a few different types of fasts. The two main categories is a dry fast and a wet fast. So a dry fast, that is when you go without food and water. Now that's a little bit more dangerous of an approach to take because you're essentially dehydrating yourself. Really, I only have people do that if they're doing it for a religious reason. If you're doing it for the health benefits or for the weight loss benefits, drink the water. You're going to want to do the wet fast. So how to start? First, if you were somebody with any kind of chronic illness, or if you're somebody with like blood sugar regulation problems, for somebody who's like type 2 diabetic, hypertensive, make sure you're talking to your physician before you start this, especially if you've never done an extended period without eating. But the way to start is real simple. You just stop eating. Like you literally just don't eat, and then you set a time that you want to do. So a common one people do, intermittent fasting has definitely picked up in the past few years, but another common one is to do like a 1 to 2 day fast. I like the 24-hour fast personally. For me, I just kind of find that it's manageable and it's not too long where I have to worry about risking losing muscle, which once you hit like the 72-hour and a little bit further ahead of that, you risk losing a little bit of muscle with that. Now, a few tips that'll help you when you're doing your fast, which hunger is going to be, if you're doing the 24-hour, we'll say everybody's doing that theoretically, the most problems you're going to have is like between hour 12 and hour 16, especially if you're somebody who is used to eating breakfast. You're going to find that the hunger becomes almost unbearable. And then once you hit like for me personally, it's like the 18 to 20 hour mark, it's weird. Your hunger just goes away and you feel amazing. Like you just have this sense of euphoria. It's so hard to explain unless you've actually done it. A few things to help you kind of get through that little portion where it sucks. We'll say if you're doing the wet fast, you can actually have coffee, you can have tea, you can have water, you can have carbonated water, because those are all 0-calorie drinks. And so you're not going to be breaking a fast because you're not consuming any calories. The thing you would want to be, and it's if you're drinking your coffee and your tea black or without sugar and creamer. Now the drinks that have artificial sweeteners in there. So the thing with artificial sweeteners is they're not all of them are 0 calories. I don't remember the exact number off my head, but they do have an influence on your insulin. So people generally try to avoid those on a fast for that reason, but they do yield some calories, probably not enough to kick you out of that fasting state, but I just try to avoid them, especially if you don't need to. And then the next tip you want to do is you want to make sure that you are actually staying busy during the fast. If you're just kind of sitting and, like, say at home or whatever, you have nothing to do, the hunger is really going to get to you because you're going to be paying attention to that hunger. So a lot of the hunger that we perceive is actually not necessarily stomach hunger, but more of like a psychological thing. And for some people, that trigger can be watching TV because they're used to just mindlessly snacking while they're watching TV. So that's going to be a cue for them that they need some food. So if you're staying busy, you got something to do, that's definitely going to keep your mind off the hunger as well. Now, working out whenever you're fasting, working out is totally fine when you're fasting. Try to keep it to where it's lower intensity work. I believe that you're going to preserve the most amount of lean body mass doing that whenever you're doing like the low intensity cardio, cycling, even like a little bit of weightlifting if you want. Just don't go like super crazy. Now, there is some people like, I can't think of his name, Herschel Walker. So he was a football player, and he was actually somebody who wouldn't eat before his game day, which is something that's definitely not taught now. And I mean, he was the elite of the elite. So if you can do that and you're fine, and you're not going to get like nauseous or anything from working out that hard on an empty stomach, by all means. But for most people, I would say probably not to do that approach. There's a few things to be wary of whenever you are on a fast. So being that we're not eating, there's, especially if you're doing fast like regularly, so like say if you're doing like a weekend fast, every week you're doing like Saturday, Sunday without eating, there's a chance that you can become micronutrient deficient. So something like a multivitamin might benefit you, or if you're just making sure that you are eating the proper amount of protein on the days that you are eating, and you are eating a balanced diet, so you are getting all the micronutrients, so the vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, zoonutrients, etc. When we're coming off the fast, this is where you want to be careful, especially if you're doing this for the weight loss benefits. I know so many people who they'll go on a fast, they'll be doing great, and then the first meal they come off with like fast food and like cakes. So again, as I've said 1,000 times, the main driver of weight loss is calories in versus calories out. So you can use the fasting as a tool to kind of get you a little bit lower on the calories in so that you are in a deficit. But if we're coming off our fast and we're just gorging, you can very easily overeat on that deficit that you created from the days of not fasting. For example, if you go to like, say, Eaton Park, I guess not to call them out, but if you go to Eaton Park and you get a milkshake there, you can easily eat like 1,300 to 1,500 calories on that milkshake. Now, most people burn, say, like around like 150, 175 pounds. Most males will burn like a little over 2,000, 2,200, 2,300. Now, whenever you go to Eaton Park, you're not just getting a milkshake. You're getting a full meal, and then you're going to finish with that milkshake, and then you're eating other meals in the day. So if you're coming off your fast, starting the day with like a huge meal or something like that, like I said, you can very easily kind of tip those scales back to not in your favor. Hope that helped you guys out. That's a few tips that I have. Again, I love fasting. I don't think it's the super magical thing that everybody thinks it is. Like I said, a lot of the benefits that are associated with fasting will come if you're just on a normal caloric restriction. But again, that could be a tool for you to employ if you're somebody who, like myself, where it's hard to limit to those small meals, and it's just easier for me to eat normal sized meals but to go longer without eating. If you guys have any more questions, you can leave a comment down below, like the video, subscribe for future content, let me know, and I'll try to cover anything else. Alright, thanks, bye.